Hello everyone, welcome to the English Globe. I hope you all are doing well. My name is Adam, and today we have a very special episode for you. In this podcast, we are going to talk about one of the most inspiring stories in world history, the journey of India from being a British colony to becoming an independent country. We will learn about a man who changed the world with peace, not war, Mahatma Gandhi. And don't worry, we will speak slowly and clearly, so even beginner students can understand everything.
Hi everyone, I'm Julia, and I'm really happy to be here with you today. This episode is not only about history, but also about learning English in a fun and interesting way. As we talk about Gandhi and India's fight for freedom, we will also help you learn many useful English words and phrases. We will explain everything in simple language, so sit back, relax, and listen carefully. You will learn a lot about history and also improve your English listening and speaking skills. Let's begin this journey together.
Before we start talking about Gandhi, let's first understand the big picture. India was under British rule for almost 200 years. That means, for 2 centuries, the British government controlled the land, the people, and the economy of India. It was a very difficult time for Indians. Many people had little freedom, little money, and few rights. But even in these hard times, the people never gave up hope. They believed that one day India would be free again. That hope became stronger because of one man, Mahatma Gandhi.
That's right, Adam. Gandhi is known around the world for his peaceful way of fighting for freedom. He didn't use guns or violence. He used truth, peace, and non-violence. His ideas were powerful, and they helped millions of people believe in a better future. In this episode, we'll take you through Gandhi's life, his ideas, his peaceful protests, and how he helped India become an independent country in 1947. So now, let's go back in time and learn how this incredible story began.
To understand why Gandhi's work was so important, we first need to understand what India was like before independence. In the 1700s and 1800s, the British slowly took control of different parts of India. At first, they came for trade through a company called the East India Company. But over time, they began to rule the land and the people. By the mid-1800s, India was under full British control. This period is called the colonial period. During this time, the British made the laws, collected the taxes, and used Indian resources to grow their own empire.
Life under British rule was very hard for many Indians. The British controlled the government, the army, the education system, and even the economy. Many Indians were poor and had no power to change their lives. Indian farmers had to grow crops for British markets, not for their own families. Indian workers were paid very little. There were also many social problems. People from different religions and cultures lived in India, but the British sometimes divided them to keep control. Many Indians felt angry and helpless, but they didn't know how to fight back.
In the late 1800s, a new idea started to grow in the hearts of Indian people: the idea of freedom. Some Indians started to speak out against British rule. They said, "This is our country, and we should have the right to decide our future." These early voices were brave, but they were small in number. People wrote articles, gave speeches, and started groups to talk about independence. One of these groups was the Indian National Congress. It became an important part of the freedom movement. But still, there was no strong leader who could unite all of India. Not yet.
Then, in the early 1900s, a man named Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi returned to India. He had been working in South Africa, fighting for the rights of Indians there. He had seen racism, unfair laws, and how people could suffer under foreign rule. But he had also seen that peaceful protest could bring real change. Gandhi believed in truth, love, and non-violence. He believed that people could fight injustice without using anger or hate. When he came back to India, many people were ready to listen. And slowly, he became the voice of India's dream for freedom.
Mahatma Gandhi was born on October 2nd, 1869, in a small town called Porbandar in the western part of India. His full name was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, but later people began to call him Mahatma, which means great soul. He came from a religious and simple family. As a child, Gandhi was shy and quiet, but he always tried to tell the truth. He believed in doing the right thing, even if it was difficult. These values stayed with him all his life and helped him become the kind of leader who changed not just India, but the entire world.
When Gandhi was a young man, he went to England to study law. He wanted to become a lawyer and help people solve problems through justice. Life in England was very different from India, and Gandhi had to learn many new things. He studied hard, followed British customs, and tried to fit in. But he never forgot his Indian identity. After finishing his law studies, he went to South Africa to work as a lawyer. What happened there would change his life forever. He saw that Indians living in South Africa were treated badly and unfairly just because of their race.
One day, while traveling on a train in South Africa, Gandhi was asked to leave the first-class compartment, even though he had a valid ticket. He was thrown off the train because of the color of his skin. This moment shocked him deeply. It made him realize that racism and injustice were everywhere, not only in India, but also in other countries. Gandhi decided that he would not accept this kind of unfair treatment. But he also believed that fighting with violence was not the answer. He believed that love, truth, and peace could win against hate and injustice.
So, in South Africa, Gandhi started his first peaceful protests. He organized the Indian community there and helped them fight against unfair laws. He taught them to resist by not using violence, but by using peaceful actions. This method was called satyagraha, which means truth force, or holding on to truth. Gandhi asked people to be brave, not by hurting others, but by standing strong with peace. These protests lasted for many years. Finally, the South African government listened and made some changes. Gandhi's peaceful fight had worked.
After spending more than 20 years in South Africa, Gandhi returned to India in 1915. When he came back, he saw that things were just as bad in his own country. The British controlled almost everything. The people were poor, scared, and tired of being ruled. Gandhi began to travel across India to understand the problems of the people. He didn't live in big cities or rich houses. Instead, he lived simply, wearing a cotton cloth, eating basic food, and walking everywhere. He wanted to live like the poor people of India, so he could feel their pain and speak for them.
As Gandhi traveled through villages, he saw how farmers were forced to grow crops for the British and not for themselves. He saw how poor workers had to pay high taxes even when they had nothing to eat. He met people from all religions, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, and he believed that they should all live in peace together. Gandhi became a voice for the common people. He didn't shout or use anger. Instead, he spoke with calm words, deep ideas, and strong love for his country. Slowly, people from all parts of India started to listen to him and follow him.
By the 1920s, Gandhi had become the most important leader of the Indian freedom movement. But he was not like other political leaders. He didn't believe in power, money, or fame. He believed in truth and nonviolence. He wanted to change people's hearts, not just their governments. He believed that if Indians could learn to be united, peaceful, and self-reliant, they could win freedom without violence. He asked people to make their own clothes, grow their own food, and stop buying British goods. This was not just protest, it was a peaceful revolution.
Gandhi also spoke about personal discipline. He believed that true freedom starts from within. That means if you want to free your country, you must first free yourself from anger, hate, and fear. He prayed every day, fasted for peace, and lived a very simple life. Many people were surprised that such a simple man could lead such a big movement. But that's what made Gandhi so special. He proved that you don't need to be rich or powerful to change the world. You just need strong values, peaceful action, and a deep love for people.
Now that we know who Gandhi was and what he believed, let's look at how he helped India fight for freedom. Gandhi didn't use weapons, soldiers, or wars. He used something very different: nonviolent resistance. This means that instead of fighting with violence, people protest by refusing to obey unfair rules peacefully. Gandhi believed that if many people acted together without violence, they could change the world. His peaceful methods included marches, protests, strikes, boycotts, and not cooperating with British laws.
One of Gandhi's first big actions in India was in a place called Champaran in the year 1917. There, farmers were being forced to grow a plant called indigo, which was used to make blue dye for the British textile industry. The farmers didn't want to grow indigo because they couldn't grow enough food for themselves. Gandhi visited the area, talked to the people, and decided to help them. He led a peaceful protest, and after many efforts, the British finally agreed to change the rules. This was Gandhi's first big victory in India and gave people hope for more change.
Another famous movement was the Salt March in 1930. At that time, the British controlled the production and sale of salt in India. They made a law that Indians could not make their own salt, even though salt is a basic part of life. Gandhi believed this was wrong, so he began a long walk of 240 miles to the sea. This walk took more than 3 weeks. Thousands of people joined him. When he reached the sea, he picked up some salt from the ground, a simple act, but a powerful message. It showed that Indians had the right to control their own resources.
The Salt March became famous around the world. Newspapers in many countries wrote about Gandhi and his peaceful protest. People everywhere were surprised to see how a small act, like picking up salt, could become a symbol of a nation's struggle. This movement was not just about salt. It was about freedom, dignity, and justice. The British arrested thousands of people, including Gandhi, but that didn't stop the movement. In fact, it made people stronger. More and more Indians joined the protests and believed in the power of nonviolent resistance.
In 1942, Gandhi launched another big movement called the Quit India movement. This time, the message was very clear: the British must leave India. Gandhi and other leaders asked all Indians to stop cooperating with the British government. This meant no working for them, no buying their goods, and no following their orders. It was a bold move, and the British were very angry. They arrested Gandhi and many others. There were protests all over the country. It was a difficult time, but it showed that India was ready to take full control of its future.
Throughout all these movements, Gandhi always reminded people to stay peaceful. He said that even if others use violence, we must not. He believed that hate cannot stop hate. Only love can do that. This idea was difficult for many people, especially when the British were so cruel. But Gandhi stayed strong in his beliefs. Even when he was beaten, arrested, or insulted, he stayed calm. He fasted many times, going without food for days, to bring peace and attention to important issues. His peaceful actions touched the hearts of millions of people.
What made Gandhi's methods so powerful was that they united the people of India. Before Gandhi, there were many freedom fighters, but they often worked in small groups. Gandhi brought everyone together: men and women, young and old, rich and poor, people from all religions. He didn't fight just for one group. He fought for the whole country. And because of that, he became a symbol of hope and strength. His movements were not just about fighting the British. They were about building a better India where everyone could live with respect and freedom.
Let's talk more about one of the most important ideas in Gandhi's life: nonviolence. In Hindi, this idea is called ahimsa. It means not hurting others in thought, word, or action. Gandhi believed that true strength comes not from fighting, but from being peaceful, even when others try to hurt you. He said that if we respond to hate with hate, the world will never change. But if we respond to hate with love and peace, even our enemies may begin to understand. This was not just a political tool. It was a deep spiritual belief and a way of living.
Gandhi showed the world that nonviolence is not weakness. It is actually a very strong and brave choice. When someone hits you, it is easy to hit back. But to stay calm, to forgive, and to keep going with love, that takes real power. Gandhi wanted every Indian to learn this strength. He trained people in peaceful protest. He told them, even if the police hit you or arrest you, do not fight back. Some people thought this was foolish. But Gandhi proved that peaceful resistance could shake an empire. He taught people how to suffer without becoming angry or bitter.
Nonviolence also helped unite people. In a country like India, where there are many religions, languages, and cultures, it's easy to divide people. Gandhi believed that violence would break the country apart. But nonviolence could bring everyone together. When people protest without hurting others, it creates respect and understanding. Gandhi wanted Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, and others to live together in peace. He dreamed of an India where everyone was equal and free, no matter their background. That dream gave people a reason to work together.
Around the world, Gandhi's nonviolent method became an example for other freedom movements. In the United States, a man named Martin Luther King Jr. studied Gandhi's ideas and used them in the civil rights movement. In South Africa, Nelson Mandela was inspired by Gandhi to fight against apartheid. Even today, people in many countries use peaceful protest to bring change. Gandhi showed the world that you don't need guns to fight for justice. You need courage, love, and truth. His ideas went far beyond India. They touched the whole world.
But Gandhi's path was never easy. Many people disagreed with him. Some wanted to fight with weapons. Others felt that nonviolence was too slow. There were also many times when peaceful protests were attacked. People were beaten, arrested, and even killed. But Gandhi never gave up. He said, "First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win." This powerful message reminded people to keep going. Change takes time, but with patience and peace, even the strongest enemy can be defeated without hate.
One of the hardest times for Gandhi came during the years of World War II. While the British were fighting against Germany, they said India must also help. But Gandhi said, "We will not help you fight for freedom in Europe while you deny us freedom here in India." That's when he started the Quit India movement in 1942, asking the British to leave India immediately. The British government was angry and arrested Gandhi again, but the people of India supported him more than ever. Even from prison, Gandhi's message spread across the country.
Nonviolence also included self-discipline. Gandhi believed that if you want to change the world, you must first change yourself. That's why he lived a very simple life. He wore clothes made from hand-spun cloth, called khadi. He walked barefoot, ate simple vegetarian food, and prayed every day. He taught people to be honest, humble, and hard-working. He said that freedom would not come from the government alone. It would come when every Indian learned to be responsible, peaceful, and kind. His personal example inspired millions to live better lives.
In the end, Gandhi's belief in nonviolence helped build a peaceful revolution. Instead of armies and battles, India's freedom movement used marches, songs, prayers, and simple acts of courage. This kind of movement had never been seen before. It changed the way the world thought about power and protest. It taught people that peace is more powerful than violence. It showed that one man with strong ideas and a kind heart can awaken the soul of a whole nation. Gandhi's nonviolence was not just a strategy, it was the soul of India's freedom. Now, dear listeners, let us talk about one of the most important and emotional parts of India's history, the final journey towards independence. After years of peaceful protests, strong leadership, and unity among the people, India was finally moving closer to its dream of becoming a free country. But this journey was not easy. The road to independence was full of challenges, difficult decisions, and painful events. It tested the courage of millions of Indians and demanded great patience and sacrifice. Gandhi and the Indian people were now in the final phase of their long fight against British rule.
By the 1940s, the British Empire had already begun to weaken. World War II had taken a heavy toll on Britain. The war had drained the country's economy, and people in Britain were also demanding peace and recovery at home. At the same time, the Indian independence movement was growing stronger every day. More Indians were refusing to cooperate with British authorities. Protests were happening in every part of the country. And even though Gandhi was arrested many times, his message of nonviolence, truth, and unity had spread to every corner of India.
In 1942, Gandhi launched the Quit India movement with one clear message: British, quit India. This call became the voice of the entire nation. Gandhi asked every Indian to stop helping the British government. Schools, factories, courts, and offices were closed. Thousands of people marched on the streets peacefully. But the British responded with force. They arrested more than 100,000 people, including many leaders of the independence movement. Gandhi himself was kept in prison for 2 years. But even from behind bars, his spirit continued to guide the people.
The Quit India movement showed the British that India was no longer afraid. People were willing to suffer, to go to jail, and even to die. But they would not stop until they got freedom. This made it very difficult for the British to control the country. At the same time, world opinion was also changing. Countries around the world, especially after the war, started to support the idea of independence and self-rule. Britain realized that holding on to India by force was no longer possible or acceptable. Slowly, the British government began to look for a way to leave India peacefully.
While all this was happening, there was another serious challenge facing India: the issue of religious division. India was home to many religions, but the two biggest communities were Hindus and Muslims. Many Hindu leaders wanted a united India where all religions lived together, but some Muslim leaders, especially Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the leader of the Muslim League, felt that Muslims would not be safe in a Hindu-majority country. Jinnah demanded a separate nation for Muslims called Pakistan. This created a lot of tension between the two groups.
Gandhi was very sad about this. He always believed in unity and harmony between all religions. He dreamed of an India where Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, and Christians would live like brothers and sisters. He tried to stop the idea of dividing the country. He met with Jinnah many times, hoping to find a solution. But the differences had grown too deep. There were many violent riots between Hindus and Muslims in different parts of India. The British felt that they could not manage the growing conflict, and they decided that dividing the country was the only solution to avoid civil war.
Finally, on August 15th, 1947, after almost 200 years of British rule, India became an independent nation. The joy was unbelievable. People were dancing in the streets, singing patriotic songs, and celebrating the birth of a free country. The Indian flag was raised for the first time, and the national anthem was sung with pride. Jawaharlal Nehru became the first Prime Minister of independent India. In his famous speech, he said, "At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom." It was a proud moment for the whole nation.
But this joy came with deep pain. Along with independence, the country was also divided into two nations, India and Pakistan. This partition caused one of the largest human migrations in history. Around 15 million people had to leave their homes and cross borders because of their religion. Hindus and Sikhs moved to India, and Muslims moved to Pakistan. Sadly, during this time, there was a lot of violence, fear, and hate. Trains were attacked, villages were burned, and many people lost their lives. Families were separated, and hearts were broken.
Gandhi was heartbroken to see this violence. He had spent his whole life teaching peace, love, and unity. Now, his own country was filled with hatred and bloodshed. He refused to celebrate independence. Instead, he spent that day fasting and praying for peace. He traveled to areas affected by riots and begged people to stop the violence. His only wish was for India and Pakistan to live as friendly neighbors. He said, "An eye for an eye will make the whole world blind." Even in those dark days, he continued to preach peace and forgiveness.
Unfortunately, not everyone agreed with Gandhi's ideas. Some people blamed him for the partition and believed he had given too much to Muslims. On January 30th, 1948, while Gandhi was walking to his evening prayer, he was shot and killed by a man who hated his message of peace and unity. The news of his death shocked the entire world. People cried on the streets, and the whole country was silent with grief. Leaders from every part of the world sent their condolences. India had lost its greatest leader, the father of the nation.
Even after his death, Gandhi's message did not die. His ideas continued to inspire people across the globe. His teachings on nonviolence, truth, simplicity, and courage became a guiding light for many movements around the world. In the United States, Martin Luther King Jr. used Gandhi's philosophy to fight for the rights of African Americans. In South Africa, Nelson Mandela was inspired by Gandhi in his struggle against racial injustice. Gandhi's life showed that one person, even without weapons or money, can change the world with love and truth.
Today, India is a proud and independent nation with the largest democracy in the world. But the journey to freedom was long and painful. It took the strength of millions of Indians and the vision of great leaders like Gandhi to make it possible. Gandhi's legacy lives on in the hearts of people who believe in peace and justice. His life reminds us that real change begins with simple actions, with speaking the truth, being kind, and standing up for what is right. His story is not just India's story. It is a lesson for all of humanity.
So, dear listeners, as we come to the end of this journey, let us remember the lessons of Gandhi and the brave people of India. Let us never forget that freedom is not free. It must be earned through sacrifice, love, and unity. Let us also remember that true strength comes not from violence, but from the courage to be peaceful. And whether you are in India or anywhere in the world, these values can guide your life. Thank you for joining us today on this journey from Gandhi to independence. We hope you learned something new and inspiring.
Now that we've talked about Gandhi's life and India's independence, let us take some time to talk about Gandhi's legacy. What does legacy mean? It means the ideas, values, and lessons someone leaves behind after they are gone. Gandhi's legacy is not just in books or museums. It is in the way people think, the way they live, and the way they try to solve problems. His legacy teaches us that peace is stronger than violence, and truth is more powerful than fear. Even today, many people in India and around the world follow Gandhi's teachings.
Gandhi's values are part of modern India's identity. His birthday, October 2nd, is celebrated as Gandhi Jayanti across the country, and it is a national holiday. Schools organize special programs, people remember his speeches, and leaders talk about his message of peace and nonviolence. But Gandhi's influence goes far beyond just one day. In schools, children are taught about Gandhi's simple life, his courage, and his love for the country. In politics, leaders often speak of Gandhi when they talk about justice and service to the people.
After India became free, many challenges remained. Gandhi believed that true freedom is not only about removing foreign rulers. True freedom means helping the poor, improving education, treating all people equally, and building a society based on truth and justice. Gandhi wanted every village in India to be strong, clean, and self-reliant. He wanted women to have equal rights. He wanted people to stop the caste system and untouchability. He also believed that every religion must be respected and people should live together peacefully.
These dreams are still a work in progress. Even though India has made great progress in science, technology, and development, there are still problems like poverty, inequality, and discrimination. That's why Gandhi's teachings are still important today. Whenever India faces a problem, many people look back to Gandhi's ideas for solutions. For example, when people fight for clean environments or the rights of farmers or peaceful protests for justice, they often use Gandhi's peaceful methods. He showed the way with his life, and many still walk on that path.
Outside of India, Gandhi's name is respected across the globe. In South Africa, where Gandhi began his fight for justice, there are statues and memorials in his honor. In the United States, Martin Luther King Jr. followed Gandhi's path of nonviolent resistance in the civil rights movement. He visited India and called Gandhi a guiding light. In the United Nations, October 2nd is now observed as the International Day of Nonviolence. This shows that Gandhi's message is universal. It belongs not just to India, but to all of humanity.
Even modern leaders and thinkers talk about Gandhi's influence. Barack Obama, the former president of the United States, once said that Gandhi was one of his biggest inspirations. He said that without Gandhi, there would have been no Martin Luther King. Many Nobel Peace Prize winners, activists, and reformers also say that they were inspired by Gandhi. His simple lifestyle, his refusal to hate, and his power of forgiveness continue to teach people around the world that real power comes from love and understanding.
In today's world, where people often fight over race, religion, or nationality, Gandhi's message of peace and unity is more important than ever. His life reminds us that we must not return hate with hate. We must listen to others, understand their pain, and try to live with kindness. Gandhi said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." This means that if you want the world to be better, you must start with yourself. Speak kindly, live simply, work hard, and always tell the truth. These small actions can lead to big changes.
Gandhi's story is a reminder that one person can make a difference. He had no army, no money, and no big title, yet he changed the future of an entire nation. He led with love, courage, and honesty. He gave hope to the poor, a voice to the voiceless, and freedom to millions. Today, in the cities and villages of India, you can see his statues, his quotes on walls, and his face on money, not because of power, but because of his values. Gandhi's legacy lives in the hearts of those who believe in peace and truth.
So as we think about Gandhi's life, let us also think about our own. What kind of world do we want to live in? Do we choose kindness or anger? Do we listen or fight? Every day we have the chance to be like Gandhi in small ways, by helping others, by being honest, by choosing peace over conflict. If each of us tries to follow even one of Gandhi's teachings, our world can become a better place. His life is not just history. It is a guide for how to live with purpose, love, and truth.
Thank you for staying with us on this beautiful and powerful journey. We hope that this podcast not only helped you learn English, but also gave you a deeper understanding of Gandhi's role in India's history. His journey from a simple lawyer to the father of the nation is a story of hope, courage, and humanity. We encourage you to read more about him, think about his message, and share his ideas with others. Because Gandhi's story is not over. It continues in you, in me, and in all of us who believe in a better world. Dear listeners, in this section, we will talk about some of the most important movements led by Mahatma Gandhi during the freedom struggle. These movements were not only powerful, but also peaceful. Gandhi believed in nonviolent resistance, which means fighting without hurting others. His movements were not just protests, They were lessons in courage, truth, and unity. Each movement helped India take a step closer to freedom. Let's look at these key events, one by one, to understand how Gandhi changed the nation through peaceful action.
The first major movement we must talk about is the non-cooperation movement, started in 1920. At that time, Indians were deeply hurt by the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, where hundreds of peaceful Indians were killed by British soldiers. Gandhi told the people that it was time to stop helping the British. He asked everyone to leave government jobs, stop going to British-run schools, and boycott British goods like cloth. Instead, people were encouraged to use local products and wear khadi, a hand-spun cotton cloth. This was the first time millions of Indians joined a peaceful protest together.
The non-cooperation movement showed the British that India was serious about independence. However, after a violent incident in a town called Chowri Chowra, where protesters attacked a police station, Gandhi called off the movement. He said that violence has no place in the freedom struggle. Many people were surprised by this decision, but it showed how committed Gandhi was to peace. He believed that the method was as important as the goal. If the method was wrong, the goal would lose its meaning. Gandhi taught that real change must come through peaceful means.
Another great movement led by Gandhi was the Salt March, also called the Dandi March, in 1930. At that time, the British had made it illegal for Indians to make their own salt. Everyone had to buy salt from the British government and pay tax on it. Salt is something that all people need, rich or poor. Gandhi decided to break this unfair law by walking 240 miles, around 385 kilometers, from his ashram to the sea in Dandi. He and his followers walked for 24 days. When they reached the sea, they made salt from seawater. This simple act became a powerful symbol of resistance.
The Salt March was special because it was peaceful, simple, and powerful. People across India started making their own salt. It showed the world that India's fight for freedom was based on truth and nonviolence. British officers arrested thousands of people, but they could not stop the movement. Even newspapers in Europe and America wrote about Gandhi and the Salt March. It was a turning point in India's struggle. Gandhi had shown that even simple actions like making salt could become a powerful tool for freedom when done with courage and unity.
After the Salt March, Gandhi continued to use peaceful protests to fight against injustice. He launched many smaller campaigns against social problems like untouchability, poverty, and inequality. One of his most powerful messages was that every person is equal, no matter what their caste, religion, or background is. He worked hard to include women and the poor in the freedom movement. He called the untouchables Harijans, meaning children of God, and he wanted them to have the same rights as everyone else. His fight was not just political, it was also moral and social.
In 1942, during World War II, Gandhi started the Quit India movement. This was one of his most powerful protests. He gave a famous speech where he said, "Do or die." He told the British that they must leave India now. People across the country joined the movement. There were peaceful strikes, marches, and boycotts. The British government responded with force. Gandhi and many other leaders were arrested. But even in jail, Gandhi stayed peaceful. He refused to accept violence. His calm and strength inspired millions to keep fighting with love and patience.
These movements were not just political events, they were moral lessons for the world. Gandhi showed that it is possible to stand up to a powerful ruler without hate. He proved that peace is not weakness. It is strength with kindness. His leadership brought together people of different languages, religions, and cultures. Even when others were angry or afraid, Gandhi stayed calm. He fasted when there was violence and prayed for peace. His entire life was like a message, telling people to rise above fear, live with truth, and treat all humans with respect.
So, When we remember these movements, the non-cooperation movement, the Salt March, the Quit India movement, we must also remember the values behind them. Gandhi never wanted to hurt anyone. He wanted to heal the nation. His idea of satyagraha, which means truth force, was his weapon. It was not made of bullets or swords, but of love and justice. And because of that, his movements were not only successful, they also became examples for the entire world. These movements changed history, not just in India, but everywhere people fight for their rights.
Dear listeners, we hope you understand now how Gandhi used peace to fight injustice. He did not sit silently in the face of wrong. He stood up, but not with anger or violence. He stood with truth, with courage, and with compassion. His movements were like waves spreading across the country, waking up the people and teaching them that freedom was possible. Even today, these stories teach us that we don't need to shout or fight to bring change. We need to believe in ourselves, stand together, and keep moving forward with hope and love.
As we continue exploring the story of India's independence, it's very important to talk about the people who often do not get enough attention in history books, the women and the common people. Mahatma Gandhi believed that freedom should come from the hearts of all people, not just leaders or politicians. He wanted every person, rich or poor, man or woman, young or old, to take part in the journey toward freedom. And that's exactly what happened. India's freedom struggle was a true people's movement where millions gave their time, efforts, and even their lives.
Let's begin with the women of India. Before Gandhi's time, women were mostly kept away from politics and public life. But Gandhi changed that. He said that women are not weak. They are strong like fire. He encouraged women to leave their homes and join the freedom movement. And many did. Women marched in protests, spun khadi, broke the salt laws, and even went to jail. They did not carry weapons, but they carried strength in their hearts. They stood beside men with courage and hope, believing that they too had the right to fight for their country.
Some famous women who joined the movement were Sarojini Naidu, Kasturba Gandhi, and Aruna Asaf Ali. Sarojini Naidu was a great speaker and poet who led marches and inspired people with her powerful voice. Kasturba Gandhi, Gandhi's wife, supported her husband in every step. She worked for women's education and cleanliness in villages. Aruna Asaf Ali became a hero during the Quit India movement when she hoisted the Indian flag in public, even when the British tried to stop her. These women were brave and became role models for millions of girls across the country.
But it wasn't just the famous names. Many ordinary women, like village mothers, teachers, and farmers' wives, joined the cause too. They hid leaders from the police, gave food to protesters, and taught their children to be proud of their country. In many places, women formed groups to spread Gandhi's message of nonviolence and self-rule. These women may not be in history books, but their small acts of courage helped build a big movement. Gandhi always said that without women, India's freedom would be incomplete. And he was right.
Now let's talk about the common people, the farmers, workers, students, and shopkeepers who made up most of India's population. Gandhi never believed that freedom could be won only in big cities or by the rich. He went to villages and talked to the farmers. He walked with the poor. He sat with the untouchables. He made sure that even the simplest person felt part of the fight for freedom. He said that real India lives in its villages, and unless the villages are free, the country can never be free. This idea made the movement truly powerful.
Farmers stopped paying unfair taxes. Students left schools run by the British. Shopkeepers refused to sell British goods. Workers went on strikes. Even postmen, barbers, and tailors joined the movement in different ways. Some helped secretly, by passing messages or hiding protesters. Some joined big marches and rallies. Some were beaten or jailed. But they did not stop. The freedom movement became a fire that spread through the land, carried by people who had no position or power. only love for their country and hope in their hearts.
Gandhi's idea of self-reliance also gave power to the common people. He asked people to make their own cloth, grow their own food, and clean their own surroundings. He believed that every small act can be a big step toward freedom. Spinning khadi, for example, was not just about making clothes. It was a way to say, we do not need the British. When a farmer made his own tools or a housewife taught her children to speak in Indian languages, they were also fighting for independence. Gandhi turned everyday life into a part of the movement.
The unity of the people was the biggest strength of the freedom struggle. Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, and others stood side by side. Rich and poor joined hands. People spoke different languages but shared the same dream, a free India. Gandhi worked hard to keep people united. He fasted when there was religious violence and begged people not to fight each other. He believed that India is like a beautiful garden with many flowers, and each flower must be respected. The people followed his message and showed the world the power of unity.
Today, when we look back at this great history, we must remember not only the leaders, but also the millions of unknown heroes. The women who marched with babies in their arms, the farmers who gave up their earnings, the workers who refused to build weapons for the British, and the children who learned to say, Bharat Mata Ki Jai, with pride. They were the real strength behind Gandhi. He walked ahead, but the people walked with him. That's how a nation found its voice, through the love and courage of its people.
So, dear listeners, as you learn English through this podcast, we hope you also feel the spirit of India's freedom story. It's not just a story of battles and dates. It's a story of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. It tells us that when people stand together, even the biggest empire can fall. Whether you are a student, a worker, a teacher, or a parent, you have the power to make a difference, just like the women and common people of India once did. Their strength is not just history. It's an inspiration for the future.
Julia, now that we've talked about the earlier phases of the independence movement, I think it's time to focus on one of the most powerful and final actions taken by the Indian people, the Quit India movement. This movement began in 1942 during World War II, when the British government was using India's resources and soldiers in the war without asking the Indian people. Gandhi and the Congress leaders believed this was deeply unfair, especially because India was still not free. So Gandhi gave a new and bold call to the people. He said, "Do or die."
That's right, Adam. When Gandhi said do or die, he didn't mean violence. He meant that this was the moment to act with full strength, full courage, and full unity, peacefully, but with deep commitment. The British were already weak during the war, and Gandhi knew that it was the right time to demand complete independence. On August 8, 1942, he and other leaders asked the British to leave India immediately. They said clearly, "Quit India." This call spread like fire across the country. People were ready. They had waited too long, and now they wanted full freedom.
The response from the people was incredible. Protests happened all over India. Students left schools. Workers stopped trains. Farmers joined hands to show support. Young people marched with posters and slogans. Many people made secret plans to continue the movement even when leaders were arrested. And yes, the British did arrest Gandhi and many others the very next day. But the movement didn't stop. That's what made it different. The people were leading it. It was no longer just about speeches. It became a people's revolution, filled with energy and courage.
Even though the British tried hard to stop the movement by arresting thousands, using force, and even shutting down newspapers, the spirit of the people could not be broken. Many young people, especially from small towns and villages, began leading local protests. They made underground radios and passed secret messages. Some even burned British records or disrupted train services to show resistance. The movement became strong not because of one person, but because millions of ordinary people believed enough is enough. We want to live free in our own land.
Sadly, there was violence in some places, and Gandhi was very unhappy about that. He always said that violence cannot bring true freedom. But even when he was in jail, his message of peace and non-violence was remembered. The British realized something very important during this time. The people of India would not give up anymore. The Quit India movement showed the world that India was serious about independence. It told the British that time was running out. It became clear that they could not rule a country where every single person wanted them to leave.
The Quit India movement lasted for years, and many brave people were hurt or killed. But their efforts were not in vain. By the end of World War II in 1945, Britain was tired and weak. The economy was in bad shape. Protests in India had not stopped. The demand for independence had become too strong. Britain finally began serious talks with Indian leaders about giving freedom. Gandhi had always said that freedom is not a gift, it is our right. And now it was finally coming closer. The Quit India movement was the final push that brought the British to the negotiation table.
This movement also brought a big change in the minds of the Indian people. Before this, some people still hoped the British might improve things. But after 1942, almost every Indian, no matter their religion, language, or background, believed that only complete independence was acceptable. It was no longer about slow reforms or small rights. People wanted their own government, their own decisions, their own future. This strong national feeling became like a wave that no one could stop. And that wave finally reached its goal just 5 years later in 1947.
So, dear listeners, the Quit India movement is a very important part of modern India's story. It was not easy. It was filled with pain, sacrifice, and struggle. But it also showed the strength of unity, non-violence, and people power. Gandhi's call, "Do or die," became a symbol of hope, and millions followed it with great faith. This section of history tells us that when people stand together, speak truthfully, and act peacefully, they can create real change. It's a lesson that goes beyond India. It's a lesson for the world.
Dear listeners, we have now reached the end of our long and meaningful journey through the history of India's struggle for freedom. We have learned about British rule, the early leaders of the freedom movement, the powerful actions of Mahatma Gandhi, the peaceful protests, and the brave sacrifices of women and common people. All of these stories help us understand how a nation can rise through truth, unity, and nonviolence. It shows us that no matter how difficult the road is, freedom is always possible when people believe in justice and walk together with courage.
This story of India's independence is not only important for Indian people, it is a lesson for the whole world. It teaches us that change does not always come with war or weapons. Sometimes, the strongest action is a peaceful one. Gandhi did not fight with swords. He fought with silence, with fasting, with walking, and with love. He believed that truth is more powerful than fear. And because of this belief, he became a guide not only for India, but for many countries and people around the world who also wanted justice and freedom.
We hope that through this podcast, you have learned not just about historical facts, but also about values like honesty, respect, patience, and courage. These values are important in every country and in every person's life. As you practice your English and listen to these conversations, remember that language is not just about grammar or vocabulary. It is about communicating ideas, sharing feelings, and understanding the world better. And stories like this help you improve your English while also learning something deeply meaningful and inspiring.
We are so happy that you spent this time with us. We know this was a long podcast, but you stayed until the end, and that shows your dedication. Remember, listening to English every day, especially through interesting topics like history, is one of the best ways to become fluent. The more you listen, the more you understand. The more you understand, the more confident you feel when you speak. So, never stop learning and never stop believing in your own power, just like the people in this story believed in their dream of freedom.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. We will be back with another powerful English learning story very soon. Until then, take care of yourself, stay curious, and keep listening. Whether you are cooking, walking, resting, or working, you can always learn something new just by playing our podcast. And remember, your journey with English is just like India's journey to freedom. It takes time, it takes practice, but with patience and hope, you will reach your goal.
This was the English Globe, and we are your friends on this learning journey. Keep moving forward. Keep growing. And as Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. We believe in you. Goodbye for now, and we'll meet again in the next episode.